Hello there and welcome to another edition of Robot Wars Unveiled. This time we're going to have a look at Extreme 1 Episode 2, I hope you enjoy. This episode saw two different reigning champions lose their titles, the tag team partnership of King B, Powerworks and 101, and the middleweight champion Hard Cheese. This would also be Hard Cheese's last appearance in Robot Wars. Mammoth, although it weighed as much as most of the competitors in this melee, was in fact a lightweight class robot due to it being a walkabout. The only reason that Mammoth participated in this event was because the lightweight championship that was to be held during Extreme 1 had been cancelled. This episode is the debut of Team Typhoon, and in fact the debut of Typhoon. This episode marks a rare occurrence of Craig Charles' closing rhyme not including the words Robot Wars. This marks the last appearance of the Series 4 boxy-shaped look for X-Terminator, as it would transition to an angle-shaped robot from this point onwards. The Hypno-Disc Weedy Big Cheese and Ming Free Mayhem is the only Mayhem to be featured in the Ultimate Warrior DVDs. This episode features the first wildcard battle. For some strange reason, the official image of Zap is missing the yellow and black stripes, perhaps because it was added on later. The Genesis team are the only team from the middleweight melee to never return to the competition. Despite the Vengeance Power, X-Terminator and Panic Attack shared a light-hearted rivalry throughout Robot Wars, initiated by the Heat Final in Series 3 and Panic Attack winning the Sumo Basho tournament over joint second place X-Terminator. Despite the talk for the cameras, Michael Davies of Panic Attack helped Marlon Pritchard to operate the weapons in the fight against Corkscrew. When Pritchard was going to be alone for Davies, also appeared in Exterminator's Mayhem in Extreme 1. As late as Series 7, Exterminator 2 was still hopeful for a rematch. The two would have fought each other in the top 8 had Panic Attack won each fight. The Vengeance battle between Exterminator is surprisingly Kim Davies' personal favourite battle. The specific design of Mega Morg would go on to be made into a Minibot toy, and was perhaps the most famous of its designs despite only appearing in Extreme 1. King B Powerworks is the only robot in its Extreme 1 Tag Team Terror battle to be a seeded robot and not lose in the first round of the UK Championship. This is also the debut of the Powerworks version of King B, which would go on to be the longest serving of the King B machines. This is also the debut of the third iteration of Ming, the one that looks more like Razor. Of all the wildcard competitors, AJ is the one to never reappear again. And that is it for today. Extreme 1 Episode 2. It's not as good as Episode 1. Episode 1 is really good, it really stands out on its own. Episode 2 is definitely a step down in terms of quality. There's not really a whole lot of brilliant moments in it. The middleweight melee is fun, don't get me wrong. The final Mayhem between Hypno-Disc, Weedy Big Cheese and Ming Free is fantastic. Everyone loves that battle for obvious reasons. It's fantastic. It's also where the whole, there goes a whole wheel comes from. It's just great. I also think the first battle, the tag team battle, is quite fun as well. It's quite a surprising battle. You see 101 and King B seemingly doing really well at first, and then all of a sudden they just break down and go crazy. It's quite an interesting fight in the grand scheme of things. Shame that Mega Morg never competed afterwards, because it would have been quite interesting to see Mega Morg and Beator fighting together. But it's for it's worth it. It's still great. But everything else in between is just not as great. I am surprised that Kim Davies finds the Extreme 1 Vengeance to be his favourite battle. I don't know whether that's just a mistranslation of him saying that the Series 3 Heat Final is his favourite, but apparently it's the Extreme 1 Vengeance, and it's one of my least favourite Vengeance battles. I also just don't really care that much for the AJ Stinger fight. The AJ Stinger fight is boring as hell. Genuinely boring. AJ is one of the most boring robots ever. Stinger doesn't really do much to make the battle more interesting, which is a real shame. Overall, this episode I should say, because it's not Heat, I don't know, I have mixed feelings. Some bits are really good, some bits are not. And now this is something that a lot of people always debate on, whether they prefer Extreme 1's randomized format or Extreme 2's more structured format. I am of the opinion that Extreme 1 did it better. The reason why is because I think the randomized format means that if you didn't like one battle, one competition, you had a great battle afterwards, which was a different competition. It always kept you on your toes, and it was never predictable. Everything was all randomized, it was all over the place, but it was also, you had all these fantastic robots. By making it structured, ironically, Extreme 2, in my opinion, made it kind of boring. Extreme 2, in my opinion, is very lifeless compared to Extreme 1. I think the biggest flaw Extreme 1 has is let's be honest, extremely staginess of the show. You know, it's trying to be all hyper and fun. I think it's because it was shown on CBBC. I mean, on one of my old VHS tapes, it had like the CBBC like blob things appearing, which is quite funny to think about. I really should like put that on YouTube. Even though, you know, there's high quality Robot Wars vendors, I think it'd be great. But I digress. Extreme 1, Episode 2, overall, it's an okay episode. It's not the best Extreme 1 episode. There are much better ones. Extreme 1, Episode 1, for example, is fantastic. And I think it's Episode 13, which is my favourite, the tag team final. That episode, like, from beginning to end, every fight, every, you know, robot, it's just brilliant from beginning to end. But yeah, this is definitely on the weaker end, in my opinion. But it's on the weaker end in terms of it's more or less towards the middle. So yeah. So let's have a look at what we'll get next time on the randomizer. And it looks like we're sticking with Extreme 1 for next time as well. This is the problem with randomizers. You'll get episodes from the same season following after each other. At least it wasn't episode 3. It's episode 10 instead. So it'll be quite interesting to talk about that one. And I'll see you next time.